Hey everyone, welcome to the live. I'm going to first and foremost say that I hope that everyone can hear me. So please, if you can hear me and see me okay, just let me know in the chat. And then second of all, I'm going to remind everyone that I've not done a live on my own since like June of 2023. So I'm very rusty. And if there are any hiccups, I apologize. But it has been too long. I've meant to do this a million times, and I've talked myself out of it every time because honestly, I get anxiety before I do a live, and it's easy for me to just decide not to do one. I want to welcome everyone into the chat. I'm really appreciative of you being here. I'm open to everyone's opinions and thoughts. The only thing I ask is that if you're in the chat, please don't be disrespectful to each other, to the guests, and I won't tolerate people that say negative things about the families of the victims. So other than that, everyone is entitled to their feelings and opinions. I know how divisive this case is, but, just wanted to make this a welcoming environment for everyone. And I'll try to remain balanced and fair. But anyway, I won't waste too much time. I'm going to introduce my guests, who first and foremost I have, what's her name? Oh yeah, Turbo. Hey, Turbo.
Did you say what's your name?
How's it going?
Hi.
Look, I got Turbo.
Hey, everyone.
I got Turbo to appear on camera. So welcome, Turbo.
Thank you.
Did you have anything to say before I introduce Teddy?
No, it's good to see you. You look great.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm not at home. I am in an undisclosed location. So I'll introduce Teddy to the stream now. Is he picking his nose? Here. There he is.
No. Oh, don't you dare.
Off to a classic.
No. Hey, what's up?
How are you doing tonight, Teddy?
Lovely. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, for a little background, it's funny because I've known Turbo for a very, very long time. I can't even 4 years. And we have met several times now in person. First, I think it was at the July hearings in Delphi.
Yeah, it was supposed to be May.
And then, you were at the border and you had to turn around. And then I think I've seen you pretty much every day since. As far as Teddy is concerned, this random, super hot dude showed up halfway through the the trial, and then they were like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Okay, who are you?" I'm the main guy.
I have that effect on people. I've been around for a very long time. I just haven't shown myself.
That's what
I think you got to the line at midnight or something when I met you. Wasn't it?
I got to the line.
The first night?
Well, I was going to get to the line very early, and then I heard that all of the peeps weren't getting there until 4:30. And I was like, I call bullshit on that. So
when did you come to how far into the trial did you come, Teddy?
Originally I wanted to go the first full week.
Right.
I had enough vacation. I could take the first full week. So I said, okay, jury selection starts the 14th. I'm going to come that next week because I highly doubt jury selection is going to be done within a week. And I was wrong. I was really surprised by that.
Yeah. Having been in jury selection, that was a very interesting thing. Sorry, but I'll let you go on.
So it was a rough couple of weeks at work, and I told my boss, I was like, hey, the 14th of October, I'm going to have to get out. And the people at work, they don't like to hear that. even though I told them in August. And once I came to my senses, probably, I want to say like 3 weeks after I put in the request, I was like, hey, I screwed up. I don't know exactly when in October that I'm going to have to take some time off, but I didn't want to tell them like, hey, jury selection is happening the week of October 14th. So, yeah, I just told them some week in October. Well, everything kind of hit the fan at work in October, and it was me and 5 other people doing all the work for everybody else. So I basically said, hey, the middle of a random work week, I said, I got to go next week. Like, I'm not going to be here. And they go, you need a day? And I said, no, I need a week. So it took a little bit for him. And I'm like, yeah, I need a
You only
week.
took a
And
week.
well, I
Yeah, and
only
then
took
you-
a week of I only took a week of vacation, and then I had the stomach bug for the second week. You know, when I drove all the way back home
For 24 hours.
and well, it took 10 hours and finding another hotel with 2 beds in the hotel that I didn't want. I haven't slept in a double bed since I was like 10.
But hey,
Because I don't.
came in handy.
Sure, came in handy. Yeah, so I had the stomach bug for the second week of trial that I was at. But yeah, I made it work, and I'm happy that I did.
Well, I did really quick before we continue. I forgot I do want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Just really quickly. Didium, hello. Contrarian, hello. Mustang, good to see you. Hybrid, good to see you. Miranda, thank you for the kind words you sent me earlier tonight. Alexa, I love you. Phil Bond, who I played, who I saw last night and played bingo with.
Phil the Thrill.
Um,
We love Phil Bond.
Olivia, good to see you. Let's see, Misunderstood, hello. Frank Meister, I think everyone's saying hi to Frank Meister. I didn't see him there yet, so but hi, Frank Meister. Jill Mosier, good to see you. CJK, I adore you. Crime Jester, my buddy. Gambies, well,
Andy's.
Teddy and I can tell you some fun stories about a night.
Rosa?
I missed out on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. You missed out on a lot of things.
A couple things.
So,
The
Lady
important
Run,
things.
Is Jinx here?
I'm sorry.
Did I see Jinx? Because this
I've-
is late for her.
I've banned her from the channel. Lady Monet, no, I'm not really. Good to see you. Shane, good to see you. Deb, I had dinner with Deb this evening. I guess I'm kind of giving away my undisclosed location. But it was wonderful to see her, and also Purdue RN, who I saw. Norwege, good to see you. I think Lisa, oh my gosh, thank you for being here. I think I'm about caught up. Victoria, hey. Miss Laura, good to see you. Daisy, thank you for being here. Quizzical Girl, hi from Australia. Thank you for being here. And I think is that caught up?
What's up, guys?
Big Fish, good to see you. Mommy Wolverine, good to see you. Maureen, good to see you. Olivia. Rescue All the Dogs. Again, who I had played bingo with last night.
She's all right.
Good to see you. Who delivered me a chair the first day of trial and saved my life.
Oh, her infamous chair.
Aspen that lost my chair that I threw under his
Strange for
car.
her not being there.
Yeah, the pink chair, and then the chair I lost. I did not lose you. I put it under there.
You lost my chair and then
Gave you a new one.
What was it? Who was the really cute news girl?
Me.
That was like, hey, my green.
Caitlin Kent. You're talking about Caitlin.
I am talking about Caitlin Kendall when she was like, "Where's my green chair?" And I'm like, and I realized that Aspen lost the chair. Dude, I almost got a ticket.
I took
turning
the
it the wrong way.
Well, apparently I took the wrong chair. I stole.
No,
Caitlin Kenner's-
so what happened was I got out of court and I said, Aspen, you're here in Delphi. I'm in Lafayette, half an hour away. I haven't slept in 2 days. I have Susan Hendricks in my car. I have to deliver her safely back to her hotel 30 minutes away. I was trying to leave court all day. I didn't care what happened. I was so tired. I was laughing in court because we had some funny people up on the stand. And I kept trying to leave every break. I would go downstairs and people would be like, no.
Who was funny?
You have Gallipo. It was the Gallipo day. That whole day, the notes were just jokes. I was so tired.
Right.
And everyone's
Well,
like, no, I just talked to this one. It's going to be confessions. And I'm like, shit, I got to go back upstairs. Okay. So I'd go upstairs and then Gallipo
Rumors.
gets up. Oh my God. Between him and look, rumors are what they are. Nobody knows but us. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. And I do want to say really quickly, we're not making light of the trial, or we're
not.
I understand, anything that happened. I mean, there were times throughout this experience that, because it was traumatic, it was whatever, but none of it was about us. And, none of us are going to try to make light or make anything funny about a double murder trial. But there were moments throughout the entire experience that you had to find humor in, because if not, you would have just, in my opinion, gone melted down into nothing.
I don't think I've ever been affected by anything that I've done in my life personally as much as I was by attending that trial. But for what we had to go through, you adapt. You find ways to adapt. I mean, we all became friends.
Right. And we'll talk about that. I'll let you go back to your Caitlin. Can finish that story up first?
No, I will. But I want to be very upfront about that, because I know that can come off as insensitive. But you got to understand, most days that we were in court, we were going in with, the day before you'd see something horrific. And so you wouldn't sleep the night previous. And then you would just say, hey, screw it. Like, I would go back to my hotel for a couple of hours and try to get some sleep. And then you realize you're not going to go to sleep. So I would drive all the way back to Delphi and stand in the line and listen to everybody's crap about the day before. Like, it's what everybody did. All you were doing was standing in line. So by the time you got into court, what?
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to ask you a question. Go ahead.
No, so by the time you got into court, you were so out of it. Like, you didn't want to eat, you didn't want to drink, you didn't want to take the chance of having to go to the bathroom in the middle. So we were all out of our minds, not getting the necessities that we needed and just trying to survive. I mean, it was a different experience than, I would say, any other trial that most people have seen or heard of. So no, we're not making light of it, but we had to do what we had to do. So any of these crazy stories that we tell, and there are a lot of them, it was very, very heavy. And everything that we are talking about comes with a big backstory. So that's all I'll say. So, backstory on Caitlin Kendall. Caitlin Kendall, she's great. So we got out of court one day, and I was very tired, and I said to Aspen, I said, hey, can I give you my chair to put out in line tonight? Because you're right by the courthouse, and I'm kind of far away. Yeah, sure. Go put it in my car or wherever under my. It ended up being under his car. I said, is your car unlocked? No. Okay, then what am I supposed to do? He goes, just throw it under my car. I'll get it. I'm like, that's kind of weird, but okay, fine. I believe it. Like, you're operating on 2 hours of sleep. So, sure. Where's your car? So his car is in the opposite direction of where I'm used to go to Lafayette. So I have Susan Hendricks in my passenger seat. And I said, hey, I'll bring you to the hotel, but I have to go drop my chair off at Aspen's car. So I go this other way that I'm not used to going. I'm not thinking.
Which he says, okay, he says that it literally was less than a block away.
It was. No, it really was. But again, when you're in a different state that you don't know, and Delphi is very small, so you go a block away and you're in another town. So it's kind of different. So I go the opposite way than what I'm used to going. And I get out of my car. Again, two days, no sleep. I take my chair and I roll it under the car. I get back in my vehicle and I start driving. And I take one turn that I'm not used to taking. And all of a sudden I see police lights. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So the guy stops me and I was like, oh my God, I'm really sorry. Like, everybody that's there is very aware of what's going on as far as all the different counties that are supporting this trial, people supporting security and all that. And I was very hyper aware of it. And I said, the guy came up to my car and he's like, do you know why I stopped you? To be honest with you, not at all. And he goes, well, you turned the wrong way in a one way. I was like, sorry. I just came from that building right there.
I know
I left early. Yeah. So he saw Susan Hendricks, and I said to her after, I was like, oh, thank God you're in my car.
Did you pull the Susan Hendricks card?
No, I didn't have to. She was there. She was just talking to somebody on the phone. Like, the whole time that he was questioning me, she's sitting in the car talking to whoever she was talking to on the phone, and he kind of saw her and he was like, oh. So I always credit her with getting me out of a moving violation, whatever it was. But I'm like, oh, thank God. I would have gotten screwed. Gibbo. Go to sleep, Gibbo. It's time for Betty. But yeah,
Okay.
So
I have a question for you, because a lot of people in chat, well, everybody in chat, if they weren't at the trial, didn't see the original unenhanced version of Libby's cell phone video.
You're just jumping
Pardon?
Well, you're just jumping right in.
I just wanted it because he was talking about not being able to sleep a while ago, and I know that Teddy told me that he had a really nightmares that night after seeing that in court that day. So I just thought maybe you could, because you had a view of the TV that day. Aspen, I'm not sure. Were you on the? You did as well?
Yeah, I think Teddy and I may have been sitting next to each other or near each other.
I just know that he got a really good view of it, and I know that it deeply affected him. So I thought maybe you could.
And that was the first time they showed. That was the first time that they showed the video.
Yeah.
And I know that I was sitting on the very last seat on the family side. So most of the people on that side could not see the television.
I couldn't see.
Right.
Because of where I was. But honestly, even some of the victims' families moved over and were sharing seats because they themselves, some of the family had not seen it. They did show that video early on to the family. So they had, the immediate family had seen it, but some of the other family had not. And so I know Teddy had a good view of it. But go ahead, Teddy.
So I listened to Becky talk on Gray Hughes, And I think Becky said that they were only shown the enhanced version of the video, which me personally, I've seen the original played twice, and the enhanced, it all kind of runs together, but I saw the enhanced, I think 3 times.
Right.
And in my personal opinion, the enhanced video was not meant to be shown in its entirety because it's very discombobulating.
It's incredibly discombobulating.
Yeah. And that was the first time that I was in that courtroom after seeing the original and then seeing the enhanced that I said, whoa, wait a minute. What is this? Because every time that we saw the videos, we were not expecting to see them.
No, we weren't. Except for the time that they told us we were going to see them and then they couldn't get it to play, which was in opening statements.
Right. So the very first time that they played the video, we walked in from a break and they opened the doors. And I remember seeing through the door that first frame of the video, which was the last couple of ties off the Monon High Bridge. And you could see the gravel on it too. And I mean, that was up there before they played it for, I don't know, I want to say 20 minutes. They had technical difficulties and all that. But the big thing, like, I don't know, it aggravates me. It aggravates me that this trial was not publicized, that people couldn't even hear what was going on, because it's frustrating when you see people on YouTube talking about it. I mean, even us, like, we all have different opinions on certain things that have happened. And like, I've heard Kevin and Anya, the murder sheet, they talked about what they heard, and they were on the other side of the courtroom. And you have to think, one side of the courtroom saw it and heard it, and then the other side that was closer to the back of the TV that could hear more and couldn't see it, they're going to hear things differently.
Right. And it should be noted that, you know, that courtroom, I mean, what's the word? The ability, you know, depending on where you were sitting in the gallery or the gallery, some people could hear much better than other places. And sometimes it was even which seat you were sitting at in a row. I noticed that, you know, there were times I would be like, okay, this row is good because you can hear better. But like, if you pick the wrong seat, you can't. So
especially with this video.
Yeah.
Definitely with this video, because my buddy Tommy Frost, who I can't get over the fact that he didn't wait in line with the rest of us that one day, and he came in. It was Tuesday. It was the second day that I was there. They played that video, and he came in.
He sat next to me.
It was the first time that I had ever met him in person, and he said, "Hey, are there any seats available?" And I go, "Dude, we all just waited in line all night. I don't think there are any seats available. Like, everybody that came here in the morning, they're going to be here in the afternoon." Right. And of course, he got a seat right behind me.
Right, which was its own issue of itself. Yeah, and like in some of these,
right.
I have down for us to discuss.
He's got notes.
I do have notes.
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of lends itself to the issue with video, because I was sitting in the same seat that he was, just one row ahead. And when they played it, I'll go through the video, but when they played it that first time, I heard guys and down the hill.
Same.
And he did not hear down the hill because it was very muted.
It was.
Not in a sense of this person was far away. It was where the camera was. I didn't even hear Abby's voice in the original video. That's it.
You didn't? See, now I could I could hear that even in that. Turbo, someone's asking for your email if you either want to send that to True Crime Rewind or if you want to put it out. That's up to you. I don't know if it's on your channel or not, but sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Teddy.
I love the Bad Dragon, by the way.
Yeah, hello, Real Dragon. And hi, Greeno. Purdue RN, hello, because thank you again for dinner.
Just to address in the unedited video where people were saying, and I still see comments about it, that Alan isn't even in, Bridge Guy isn't even in the video.
It's bullshit. That's bullshit.
I know, but can you explain that?
Thank you, Victoria. That's the word I was looking for.
Thank you, Turbo, for bringing that up, because that was a point. I've heard that too in the last couple of days and weeks. It's very hard to explain to somebody, and I've been trying to get on that Crime Door app where they have a 3D model of the bridge. I don't want to do it at home. I've been trying to do a video of how that video played out, but it wouldn't make sense doing it at my house, pointing it at the wall.
We're gonna get the video.
Well,
I know we will, and that's the
Greeno
thing.
Greeno says he got it. Greeno said it's being mailed to him. So
that's fine. Well, when you get it, Greeno, you let us know, and we'll play it, and then everybody will see for themselves. And there will still be conjecture. There will still be a lot of shit that goes on with this video.
Someone asked.
What?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The thing about it is, what you have seen on TV of Richard Allen on the bridge is the only footage that you see of anyone other than Abby and Libby in that whole video.
And I want to say also, someone in the chat is saying that the bridge guy is not in the original video. And
yes, he is. That's bullshit. Yes, he is.
I watched that video with my own eyes. I could see Bridge Guy, and and it was funny to hear how some people felt like he was so far away, even unedited, and even in the unenhanced version. I still thought he was. I still realized he was closer than I thought he had been when I watched the original video. So
what I thought.
David Gray, I respect your opinion, but I was in that room. I watched it. I saw Bridge Guy in the video.
He is in the video.
When the media got to look at the exhibits, there were several journalists that put it forth in their articles. I was just reading it yesterday, actually. And they counted between 10 and 12 of the railway tiles from the end is about where he was.
And this also goes into what someone had asked about. What do you mean by discombobulated? And I'll let Teddy. I'll let you. You said it first, so I'll let you explain that.
There is absolutely no way that I'm going to be able to explain that until both of those videos are released.
Yeah.
And I could do my very best to explain it, but I already know what people are going to say. And
what do you mean?
Just like everything with this case, when I saw things in its entirety, I was shocked.
Right. I mean, the best way I can even describe it is, I mean, if you imagine taking your phone and you are filming something, and then all of a sudden and your phone goes down, then goes over, then goes up. The phone is all over the place.
Not even that. Not even that. It's just the fact that for 7 years, the only thing that you have seen of that video is the stabilized version of Bridge Guy on the bridge that they pulled out. And something that I have heard from a lot of people, and it's a question that I had, it was one of the big questions that I had, was why did they not release Guys at the same time that they released Down the Hill?
Right.
That would cause a ton of confusion and a ton of conspiracy. And that question was answered as soon as they played the enhanced version of that audio for the first time in the courtroom.
100%.
And I have tried to explain this to people, but I don't think it comes across well enough.
Why? Because Libby says hi. Because it's
she
actually
doesn't say hi. See, guys,
she said,
guys.
Well,
see,
what I heard
This is a beautiful thing right here. This is a beautiful thing.
I want to say
because
can I say what I?
David Gray.
Yeah.
I would like to know what YouTube channels you've seen the entire original video on, because I mean, please, my email's in my video description. Please email me the links, because no one has released the full original.
I know how to troll too.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, for me, when I was the day that they did play the enhanced version, I could see the TV and hear. And I mean, you just wanted them to play it over and over and over, right? I mean, they play it
and
once.
Listen to it with headphones.
Yeah, all of that. So, and it's really hard to absorb it, because it's just it's over. Like, for as long as it is, like 43 seconds, quite a long time, but it's just
not really
over in a blink when you're sitting there in the courtroom.
Okay.
But what I heard was, guys, hi, down the hill. Like, you can hear
Bye.
her say,
Have a good night.
And her voice kind of goes up high. Like,
her
when
voice,
she says
listen.
hi, like there's an elevated change of like nervous, like I think Becky described it as nervousness. And I mean, I haven't heard Libby speak, so I would defer to that. But to me, it really rolled from one to the other. Like, it was actually, guys, hi, down the hill. Like, that's the way I heard it, all in one. That's what I heard.
No,
so
and
what did
listen,
you hear?
I know, I hate it. I hate it, but I also love it. No, I also love that, because that is the one thing about those videos that I'm glad that I have an alternate opinion from everybody, people that I agree with. I'm so glad that I'm very staunch on that. So the noise that she makes, it's not high. And if you think about it, she's nervous. Like, number one, I was thinking about it today, and I was thinking about how the video starts, and it starts with a frame of the last couple of railroad ties on that bridge and the gravel. And then as soon as it starts, Libby picks the camera up and you see Abby. And Abby, you can tell, is very uncomfortable being on that bridge. It's either her first time or one of the first times that she's been on there, because she's got her hands in her pockets like she does on that Snapchat photo, and she's got her head down and she's moving very slowly. She's not comfortable walking on that, and she wants to make sure that she's taking every step very cautiously. And in the original video, as I've heard some other people who were in the courtroom that want to say bridge guy Richard Allen was not there, you have to understand that as the distance moves out, things get blurry. It's an iPhone 6S, I believe. It's not an iPhone 15.
Is it? Yes, Seer S, I believe.
Right, right. So there are a lot of different factors when it comes to that. Number one, the camera is not as good. You also have to consider that he's close to them, but as far as a camera goes, and as far as the angle that he was from Abby, it's not what you would think. His head is right over her left shoulder.
Right over it.
Right. So in the enhanced video, it looks so clear. And both Abby and Bridge Guy look a lot closer to the camera than they actually are.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that law enforcement physically took Bridge Guy and brought him closer to Abby. It means that in the original video, everything looks farther away. Even Abby does. Right. And that's something that people have gotten wrong when they want to try to twist things and make it seem like it's, oh, he was much farther away in the original. No. And you want to know why? Because those platforms, thank God for the platforms on that bridge, they don't lie. They don't lie. That whatever it was, the 5th or 6th platform, that's behind him. You cannot get around that. It's all about how they enhanced it.
Right.
So in the video, oh, go ahead, ask me.
No, you go ahead.
So in that original video, when she first pans up, I mean, I was in shock seeing that for the first time. I could not believe, I wasn't expecting to see it that day, and I couldn't believe I was seeing it. And the first thing that I noticed was the sky was so blue. It looks very gray in the video that you see of Bridge Guy just all zoomed in. It wasn't like that. The sky was blue. You see Abby. You notice how she's walking, and you're like, oh my God. Like I thought about it today for the first time. This little girl is on this bridge. She's very uncomfortable. You can tell that by the video.
So behind me.
And even though we can't really tell, because this guy, he's got a hood on, he's got whatever skull cap, whatever he's got on, and she's still like, holy shit, I'm on this bridge. I have to be careful.
But you knew when law enforcement early on said that that they knew that something was that they were in danger. I mean, and you could tell that from Abby's behavior in the video.
Yeah.
I mean, her body in the and I think that one thing that stood out to me in that video that I'll never forget, because I realized that I don't think I had ever heard Abby's voice before.
Right. Yeah.
And and when I heard that video, I heard the voice of a little girl. And I know these were 13 and 14-year-old girls, but when I heard it, it has not left my head since.
Yeah.
How little she sounded like a little scared.
They sounded like they were 6.
She sounded like a little scared girl.
Both her and Libby, because I'll tell you, in the original video, the only voice that I heard as far as a little girl's voice was Libby's. She sounded like she was 6. And it didn't hit me right away.
Yeah,
it was after I was driving through Delphi, looking at the woods, and all of a sudden, like, it was like I don't know, when you're in the courtroom again, everyone and their mother wants to watch this video. And I'm sitting where I was sitting after that first day where I sat on the family side where I couldn't see anything. And then I said, well, if I want to know what's going on, I have to sit over here. And I saw the video, and it didn't affect me at first because I was so focused on, okay, I'm one of 12 people of the general public that's ever going to see this video. I really thought they were only going to play it once. I was like, you better pay attention to what's going on.
27, but
yeah, there was like 24 seats, right? And half of the courtroom,
there were 26 seats on an average day. Am I correct, Turbo?
It was 24 guaranteed, and then they'd let a few in.
Okay.
Right. So we'll say 24 just to make it even. So 12 people on one side of the courtroom, where half of the right side could see something, and then the other 12 of the general public that got in on the defense side that could really see the TV. I mean, that's kind of how I looked at it.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm here. I'm not a part of a channel. I'm not a part of a news group. Like, I could just tell everybody to F off and never talk. But I'm like, you're one of the only people that's ever going to see this. Like, everything was so hush hush that I really thought they were going to play it one time. That was going to be it. And we all sat out there for how long? So I'm sitting there going, oh my God, you better pay attention to this.
Right. And I have a few things to say really quickly is for people that are like in the chat, I know there's a few people that have mentioned that Richard, the bridge guy was not on the bridge in the video. That was not real.
Yeah, it was. It was.
I am
It's bullshit.
Absolutely open and
I'm not.
Will be respectful of people's opinions. What I won't tolerate or entertain is nonsense. And for someone to say that that video is fake or that he was not there, that to me, you can't have a logical conversation with someone that's not logical. So those things won't be entertained here.
Look,
say it all you want, but it'll be ignored and no one will take you seriously. What we're talking about is an actual crime. There were bodies found. These girls were murdered. There was someone on that bridge behind them. Whether you think it was Richard Allen or not, that's up to you. But you know what? A jury convicted him, and all I have to say is, bridge guy was on the bridge. He's in the video. He wasn't put in. The picture of Abby is real. That's all complete conspiracy nonsense. And if you believe those things, that's fine. Just please don't be a part of this conversation, because
you know what?
We can have differing opinions, but only if they make sense on this planet.
If you cared that much, you should have gotten your ass up and gone to trial to see for yourself. That's all there is to it. It's not about, oh, we were there and we have some, thing above you. If you really cared that much, you would have gone.
If you believe Richard Allen is innocent, that is fine. If you believe Richard Allen was held in deplorable conditions while he was at Westville during his pre-detained condition, that's fine. I can respect your opinions. What I won't tolerate though is people that bring the Bigfoot nonsense into this. There are several channels you can watch for that. I will not name them because I mean, come on.
Look out for the yellow rope.
Let's be a little bit more intelligent than that. I mean, hopefully we can use a little bit more.
If I could, sorry, Aspen.
Go ahead.
Teddy, you talked about the girls' voices being seared in your brain. What is seared in my brain is not something that I can even replicate. And I very rarely looked at the families in court because as much as I observed everything, I always just tried to give them their privacy and not, I just didn't look. But sometimes you would see things, of course, when you're looking around.
Hear things.
And hear things. And it just so happened that the day that they played the enhanced video, and you have your 43 seconds, and I'm looking, and I'm trying to balance looking with I guess I was looking at it the whole time, but I'm always in my notes, right? But I happened to look, or I don't know, Libby's mom, Carrie, moved a certain way, and it just caught my eye, and she was listening to her daughter's voice on that video, and the look on her face was just, I will never forget that.
You know why?
You can't replicate that look because it was just.
Listen.
I can tell you.
It was terrible. You're seeing her.
Carrie had never seen the video.
I didn't know that, but I'm just telling you, seeing that heartbreak in her face as she listened to Libby, it was.
The very first time they played that video, I was sitting directly across from Carrie. And the noise that she made when she heard her voice was something that you will never forget, because you knew as it was going on that was the first time that she had heard her daughter's voice in 7 years. And when you hear her voice, and you don't know what to expect, because I didn't know how Libby sounded, really. When you hear it in that video, it's unreal. She sounds like she's 6 years old.
She does.
Yeah.
She's got a little lisp and everything.
Right.
And she does what she does. And I'll tell you what, no matter what anybody wants to say about that video, what was done, and you have to consider the situation that those two girls were in. They didn't know what was going to happen to them. They didn't know that this guy was going to do what he was going to do. But I remember I turned to Tom Webster afterwards and I said, that's one brave fucking girl. And he said, well, you know, she did want to solve crimes. And I go, I don't give a fuck that she wanted to solve crimes. There's nobody, not a 13 or 14-year-old, not a 25-year-old. All that goes out the window when you think you're in danger. I go, she did that out of instinct.
Absolutely.
It was all instinct because you don't think about any of it.
And like
it wasn't until whether it was accidental or whatever happened with the phone. Like at the time when I watched it, I thought she purposefully turned the phone horizontal.
She did.
And that was the only time you could see Richard Allen when she
right.
did that.
In the original, and the only reason that I say that is because, again, I saw it a couple of times, but you have to think he's behind her. He's far away.
Like she knew she couldn't see him when she, you know, presumably.
Right. She wanted to get him in the frame. That's the whole reason why she turned her phone. Right.
But you hear Abby behind me still.
Well, she said that in the enhanced, but in the original video, she pans up to Abby and you see Abby walking. I didn't see him. It's not because he wasn't there or you couldn't see his little head. It's because it was a blurrier video than when they enhanced it. And that's what pisses me off, because people that were in that courtroom, they say, oh, I didn't see Richard Allen. No shit. You're looking at a screen from 50 or 100 feet away. Of course you didn't see him, but you know he was there. As soon as she takes that phone, she takes the phone and she does it really sneakily and she goes, and you see the angle. You see Abby and the person behind her. Like,
it was crazy.
What is everybody talking about?
Right.
I couldn't believe that.
And it pisses me off.
And and I agree, with what you said, and I don't want to, the family's business is their business, and the way their reactions to the things they had to hear and see in court are unthinkable. But I did find out from Carrie after the fact that she had never seen the video, and so
it's terrible.
To put that with the reaction I know she had in court, it broke my heart even more.
It was terrible.
Because
the sound that she made was terrible.
For almost 8 years, she's known that video was out there and that she hadn't seen it. And that alone, if you think as much as we all want, as none of us knew Libby or Abby, none of us have it's not about any of us. And, here her birth mother is, knowing this video is out there and she's never seen it. I mean, and then to see what was on that video is like,
I'll be right back. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
I'm gonna, I do want to backtrack just a little bit. I think we've already started getting to the trial enough that I'm going to skip over some of the background stuff.
Sorry, I didn't mean to just jump right in there.
I had a method and a whole timeline.
Teddy was really, really bothered by the first playing of that video. Like, he told me the terror that he felt about, with those girls and what they felt after seeing that video. Like, it was deeply disturbing. Like, he said it was this, it's stuff of nightmares when he saw it the first time. And it's just.
No, sorry.
It was surreal.
Absolutely. Sees through. I don't know. I'm not giving it a lot of thought, but I'm not sure what stopped the video. I think that the video probably was put into her pocket, and I don't know if something.
You don't know if it was put into her pocket because it just stops,
or if it in fact was taken on Snapchat. They have a timeline.
No,
I know I was on the phone, the camera roll, but I don't know if it was taken through the Snapchat Snapchat
I don't think it was because of how it was shown in court.
No, I
When
agree.
it was shown, that first frame of the video, like I said, it was up there for so long, and it had that little. Think about taking a video
Well,
on
yeah,
your
the
phone.
video would be too long. The video at 43. No, because
Yeah, but even so, cutting out thinking about how long it was and everything else. The frame of the video that they had up on that screen had the big play button right in the middle of it. That's
true.
A
Right.
video that was taken on your phone. It had the play button on there.
Right.
And when it stopped, it just stopped. It's as soon as they went down the hill. And that's, again, something else that I've wanted to show to people because people should be able to see it. I understand why they
It'll come
say
out.
no. And that's another point that I wanted to bring up. The reason why Guys was not released at the same time as Down the Hill is when they first released stuff, they had the video. I mean, how many days? You guys know. How many days was it after everything happened that they released the audio and the picture of Bridge Guy?
25th, right? No, not 25th. The 22nd.
Yeah, the Monday.
Okay.
It was a 1 week later, I believe, that they did that.
Right, 1 week later.
Right.
So, does anybody think they had time from when they got that video off of her phone on the 15th, when they said that they saw the video for the first time, to when they released what they released to the public? One of my biggest questions was, did they have any other audio? What was Guys taken from different audio that she might have taken? No. It's because when he said Guys, Libby went, huh.
Well, let's not forget, they extracted that video off of her phone the night of the 13th or the 14th when they found the phone. So, I mean, there's going to be a record of that being extracted and put it into.
Right. And that's why that wasn't brought up in court, because you can't get around that.
Yeah.
But the fact is, right on top of Guys, you hear, huh, like she's not going to say hi to the guy. She was spooked that the guy said anything to her at all.
And the goal in putting that audio out and to put that picture at first out and then the video, it was never to like give the public, a narrative of what happened. It was to identify the person that was on that bridge. And so including those girls' voices sounding like 6-year-olds would have served no purpose other than to, elicit, emotional feelings in people as far as like the terror that they were going to.
Right. And what's the point? At the time, you're solely focused on the person.
It would distract people from actually focusing on the perpetrator.
Right. But if I'm playing devil's advocate, like I said, before I went, that was one of the big questions that I had. Like, it's one word. Why the hell would you not release that at the same time? It's because I knew that they had a limited amount of time. That's something that they said. We wanted to get this stuff out as soon as possible. And they did. They got the stuff out that they could as soon as possible. That original photo that they released was a very, very pixelated photo. And everybody's been saying, well, this enhanced photo that you sent to NASA and Disney,
which there was no mention of in court, by the way.
You added all these pixels, and it's like, guys, you can see the guy in the original video.
3-day hearings, Aspen?
Sorry?
I thought that come out in the 3-day hearings. Am I imagining that?
I don't remember it, but you could be right. I'd have to look back through my notes.
I think it did. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong.
But
I'll keep track.
What did you just mention? You mentioned something that go ahead. Did you have anything else to say about that?
Me? No.
Me?
Either of you.
I wasn't at the hearing, so that's all you guys. I'm going to take a break.
About what you were saying previously.
What was I saying previously?
about the how you knew the guys and was not released at the same time.
I mean, the enhanced audio that you hear, like when they released Down the Hill, you only hear Down the Hill. When they finally released in 2019, guys, that's not how it sounds in the actual full audio. It's guys and like that's what she does. That's why it's so distressing. I didn't hear high at all when they played the original or when they played the enhanced. I heard a scared girl making a noise because she's literally Abby had just jumped off the bridge. She jumps. She jumps the last couple of ties because why the hell, if you're that nervous walking on the bridge and there's some weird dude walking behind you, why would you keep trying to watch your step? She jumps the last couple of ties and she lands and she takes a couple of steps forward towards Brad Weber's property. What?
And then those and the sound of the leaves crunching.
I mean, the sound of the leaves, the gravel. I wasn't paying attention to the sound that her feet were making. I was trying to pay attention to whatever voices that I heard.
It happened so fast.
And in that original video, I did not hear Abby's voice. I heard Libby's voice only until Bridge Guy.
It was muffled, but I could hear Abby's voice. And the sad thing is, even more because Abby was scared on the bridge, and then she got off that bridge, and Libby was already off the bridge. Libby was already standing on it, and it's even more heartbreaking to realize that Abby didn't realize that they had nowhere to go until she was off the bridge, because it was then that she was like, there's nowhere to go.
She couldn't look behind her.
Yeah. So, it wasn't until that moment she, thought she might have gotten it, off of that bridge, and then there's still nowhere for her to go. And then I think that's, the point. Of course, there's already the, gun.
So I'll say this to people.
Down the hill.
The very first time they played the enhanced, they told us before they played it, they said, okay, this is going to be the enhanced video. When we get to the guy on the bridge, we're going to pause it and we're going to zoom in and we're going to draw a box around this guy. And that's exactly what they did. So you start off with looking down at the bridge, the last couple of ties with, where the bridge ends with the gravel. And it raises up and you see Abby, and she looks a lot closer to the camera than she does in the original. But so does Bridge Guy. And you can actually see him really clearly in this video, which I think people get very confused. They're like, oh, in this enhanced version, you can actually see him now.
Very clear.
Right. But you can see Abby a lot clearly too. It's only until you see the original and the enhanced that you realize they didn't just add Bridge Guy in there. Everything looks a lot closer to the camera than it did in the original. So you see that. And then Libby takes the camera and she's trying to hide it. She does this. And then as she's turning, she turns the camera like this, and you see that angle, and they pause it. And they zoom in on him, and they draw a red box around Bridge Guy. And you're like, yeah, that's what I've seen on TV.
Right.
And then they zoom out and go through the rest of it. But the rest of it, because it's, it's a little girl sitting there, trying to turn the camera and do this. And it's like she's pretending that she's on a live stream. It's what it is. She turns towards down the hill where they end up going. And she goes, well, this is the path down. Then she turns back towards the bridge, and Abby jumps off, and she takes a couple of steps, and then she goes towards Abby, and she's like, well, there's no path here. Like, where the hell are we supposed to go? The camera's pointed towards the ground that whole time.
Yeah, and they grab it, and it spins a few times,
right. And then so she turns back towards the bridge, and the guy's got to be right there on him.
And Caesar says, did Abby ever ask, is he behind her?
I can't answer that, because I'll tell you what, when they played that enhanced version for the first time, I heard a second girl voice, but I was expecting everything to be the same as it was the first time, because I wasn't aware that they were going to play the enhanced version. I was like, wait, what is that voice? Like, I knew that it was in the original, but they pulled it out.
And he does. I mean, she did ask it. I can't remember if it was in both videos or what, but no, she did say, "Is he still behind me?" And that was,
I bet,
before, so someone said that wasn't said in court. I mean, they might not have mentioned it in court, but it was said in the video. I don't recall Libby's answer to it, because right after that is the point where Abby gets off the bridge and you see the camera movements and them kind of trying to figure out where to go, and there's nowhere to go.
I believe they entered into exhibit the exact steps that were taken for the stabilization, and each single thing that was done to that video was entered.
So I have a question for both of you, though, because we recently learned that people have been trying to get the exhibits, and certain exhibits we found out recently are going to be made public once I can't remember the wording Judge Gull used. It's not
the appeal process is over.
It's not until the appeal process is over. But until they establish what
so they're
going to need for the appeal process. So there will become exhibits that become public prior to the appeal taking place. But in my opinion, I feel like the interrogation videos and Libby's video, both the enhanced and the original, are probably two ones that are going to stay confidential.
You think?
I do.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
The interrogation.
I
think the interrogation ones are going to absolutely stay confidential
until
after the appeal process, because I think they're going to be used in the appeal. And Libby's video, I think they might try to keep it. I think they might try to keep it sealed.
I could see where they would try to keep it sealed. To be honest with you, and I hate saying this,
I think they're going to be because I think they're going to be cautious.
I think they're going to be conscious, but I cannot stand how much scrutiny has been on this case, because those videos, they need to be released. I don't want them to be released because I don't want to have access to go on YouTube and watch those videos and listen to those girls in their final moments. I don't. I really don't. All the stuff that I saw and witnessed at this trial, I'm not glad that I saw it. I needed to see it. But I can't imagine having that out there for the rest of the world to just see whenever they want. I understand it from that perspective. But with all the bullshit that has gone on with this case, those videos need to be out there to the public.
I agree with you. I think that they're going to be among the exhibits that, because they're big exhibits. Those are some head, we've just spent and we've spent an hour almost talking about them. And, I think they're going to keep them sealed until this whole thing is over.
I want them sealed as long as it doesn't give Richard Allen another reason to, or his lawyers to have something to.
We have to remember somebody else. This appeal process could be over quickly. I mean, just because you file an appeal doesn't mean that it stands.
What are they going to file an appeal on?
Well, I'm saying regardless if you file an appeal, it doesn't mean that it's going to get granted. So when I say that they're not going to be released immediately, I think those are exhibits that they'll probably keep sealed until the appeal process is over. I do think they'll release a lot of the exhibits as soon as these two appellate attorneys are, and they seem like competent attorneys, are up to speed and kind of have prepared what factors they feel are their best and strongest ways to get an appeal on. I'd love to hear everyone's opinion on that, but that'll be a different live.
Duchess has.
You think you can get me back here?
I didn't say with you.
I think isn't the 30 days for the appeal starts the date of sentencing, does it not?
I've heard confused. I've honestly not looked into it super in depth. I think it started the day of sentencing, but I don't know if it restarted once the appellate attorneys were appointed. I'm not sure. Travis Williamson is in the chat. He may be able to answer that question. Which, by the way, hello, Travis. Hi, Sleuth. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. And I did see a comment earlier that I wanted to point out. Frank said that I was absolutely right, and I just think that should be mentioned that Frank said I was right. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Frank. So, I mean, I think we've spent a lot of time talking. Do you have any other things about the videos that you want to say before we move on? Because I don't want to keep everyone all night.
No, I mean, a lot of the things that I've heard about the videos have been absolutely just twisted. Everybody will probably see those videos at some point, both the original and the enhanced. Nothing other than what they said was in those videos is in those videos. Yes, the directions that the cameras turn and what was said is different. The only time that you see the person on the bridge is what they've shown to the public. And Libby basically does a 360-degree turn around that whole area. Even though the camera's pointed towards the ground, you can still see the general area. There's nobody else there. So the whole fact of you don't know that bridge guy is the guy that said what he said, it's bullshit.
Right.
Believe me or wait until they come out.
Frank said, according to Judge Gall, 30 days from sentencing. Travis said if they file a motion to correct the error, it extends the time to file the notice of appeal. That's what my understanding was. Who just wants to get together with me in public tomorrow and argue that? Let's do that anytime. Let's go. And then I noticed Turbo was trying to take over the highlighting things.
Well, I thought maybe missed them.
Oh wait, okay. First of all, Turbo, that shirt is fire. Okay, well, really quickly, I will say, give a thank you for the $3. I want to explain.
3 pounds.
3 pounds. Contrarian, thank you for the $4.99. Crimezilla, thank you for the $19.99. Frank, thank you for the $3. And Mommy Wolverine, thank you for the $9.99. But I do want to say, I have always been very adamant that I did not monetize my YouTube channel when I went to the trial, because my intent and my goal in going to the hearings and the trial was never to profit or make money off of this case. I just recently added monetization to my channel, and it was only because I felt like, you know what, the case is concluded at this point, and I have, I care enough about the families and the town of Delphi that I did this all on my own dime, as did both of you, and incurred a lot of expense. Whatever, that was my choice. I'm not going to complain about it. But someone finally talked to me into, at least now that the trial is over, they're like, just add it to your channel. You don't do a lot of live. So anyone that is donating or whatever, I want to say thank you. But financially gaining from any of this has never ever been a priority of mine, and never will be. And I probably will most likely take all of it and donate it to something important to help Libby and Abby. So anyway, I just wanted to address that really quickly because I just recently monetized my channel.
I need it so bad.
But actually, let me. So I will take that back really quickly. Okay. So, you both started following this case. I know Turbo's followed it for a long time. I know you followed it for a long time, Teddy. What do you think it is about this case that really, because if you're into true crime, we've all watched a million cases. We've all seen a million cases. So what is it? What about this case made you care so much that you literally, both of you, You took time away from your lives, your families, you financially, put yourself out there, and you went to, in your case, to another country, and in your case, basically to another country, and to be there, and to spend as much time as you have there, and to put the focus that you have on this case.
Liberty German. That's what I would say. It was that video. Because the first time that I ever saw anything about this case, it was the picture of Bridge Guy. And it was one of those stupid Facebook articles that you see all the time for all the cases that come up. And I happened to be on the couch scrolling through stuff, never been into true crime, never wanted to get into it. Like, I have enough stress in my life, let alone people's murders. But I thought it was interesting, and I was like, "Oh, that's really strange. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. They have a video of this person, but they don't know who did it." Okay, and it kind of went by the wayside for a little bit. They didn't have any information. They weren't releasing any information, and a couple months went by, and I would hear something else about it, and I was like, "Oh, this came up again." Okay, I still wasn't really.
This was when? Like, when did you first?
I to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you. It was probably like 2018.
Okay.
Because it was still in the early days when they hadn't. I don't think they released the audio yet, so it was just the photo. And
They did that in July of 2017, the first video, right?
yeah, I mean it. Maybe
No,
you guys would probably know better than me.
I know that was the sketch. Ignore me.
Yeah. So it was something that had come up, but it always kept popping up. So I would always see it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know that. That was really weird to me. And then it wasn't until 2019, 2020 that more things had come out. Like the whole Keegan Kline thing came out and things started to explode a little bit. And we all had a little bit more time to look into random things because we were all stuck home because of COVID. And I don't know, like I saw all the online interest about it, but I still wasn't really gung ho with the whole thing. And then once Alan got arrested, I was just starting my job that I have now. And it was right around the time that the whole Idaho murders happened. It was like all these things happened at once.
November 13th. November 13th, 2022.
Yeah, so it was like he got arrested on the 26th, and they released it on the 31st. So I saw that, and I was like, oh, shit. They finally caught this guy, and it was somebody that I hadn't heard of before. So I'm like, that's kind of weird. Why the hell would they arrest some guy? We had heard about a couple other people since then. Like, why would they arrest some random dude? It's interesting. The whole Idaho thing, it seemed kind of cut and dry right from the start. So I had those two cases back to back, and I'm like,
who you ask. Sorry.
Well, Delphi too, depending who you ask. You can get convicted of a crime, and it's still like, I don't know. So
he only admitted to it and put himself there.
Well, yeah, and again, I don't want to be disrespectful to a jury convicted Richard Allen. But if there are people that genuinely believe that he is innocent and he's been wrongly convicted, you know what? I respect their right to have that opinion. I mean,
sure.
I understand how the jury came to their conclusion, but I do want to, I want to make sure that, I welcome and respect opposite people that feel differently. I want to hear that. I want to hear the reasoning. I want to hear their opinions. So I don't want anyone that feels differently to feel ostracized or feel like they're not welcome here, as long as you're still on this planet. Like, when you're saying he wasn't on the bridge, then we're not going to connect because,
Well, if Richard Allen wasn't on the bridge, or if Bridge Guy wasn't on,
it becomes a brain cell thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I do want to hear Turbo's, how you, what about this case, because for anyone that doesn't know, Turbo. It was for the first couple of years I knew Turbo. She was she did not want her name known. She did not want, I mean, she's got like 15 names. I'm kidding. No, she did not want her name known. She was very private. She was very behind the scenes, but she was also, I mean, a pro, I mean, one of the best I've ever seen of someone that you could say, oh, I need to know about this. And within moments, she'd have a file for you. I mean, her ability to research is incredible, regardless of the hole, the rabbit hole she's going down. I mean, she will have you a comprehensive list of everything ever about that topic. And I was like, I respect that so much. But so what about this case?
There's this case is the same as every other case that I try and help. There's nothing different about it, really. I always try to help.
No, you've never. No, I mean.
No, hang on.
Okay.
Well, the short version of how I got on this case in February of 2017 was because of Lyric and Lizzie out of Evansdale, Iowa. Their case is still unsolved. That happened July 13th, 2012. And the circumstances of their case were similar to Libby's and Abby's. So that's how I ended up on Libby and Abby's case. But I'm a behind the scenes researcher that tries to help solve cold cases. I don't typically follow them a lot after once someone's been arrested and I go there, that's done, like, thank God. But what happened with this case, when the defense come on, and all of the online fuckery that has gone on for so many years now, it just kept getting.
That's my word.
Pardon?
That's my word. Delphi fuckery is my word. I coined that.
The need for what I had to do shifted because it just went from one bucket of insanity to another, basically. It's always been crazy with the online, but I've never gotten involved in any of that. I don't have any interest or time, frankly, to spend on that. I'd rather be trying to help, with 10 cases than waste time running around checking out what people say. But when things started to go like really dark, and the stuff against the family members and law enforcement and
when do you think that was
going on was just kept escalating. And so then my path kind of changed. And I did still think that there was someone else involved, possibly. I thought that there definitely could have been more than one person. And I've been doing this since 2008. So I know the way law enforcement works. I know what they do when they put stuff out. I know, they don't lay their hand all out for the public. So I could never understand why people would think that. And I really saw it with this case. Like, people, generally speaking, they were just constantly claiming corruption and all these things that were just, it goes on to this day, and that's a whole other thing that I don't even want to talk about. But I had to go to that March 18th contempt hearing and dismissal hearing. I had to go down for that in Fort Wayne. And that was the only thing I ever planned on going to.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, I go there, and then it just, it was, I really enjoyed the court experience. And
I did too.
Because there's no cameras, and because of, I got back into my university days where I was doing my shorthand with my transcription notes. And then, you know, I put out a few videos and I realized like people really need to hear this. And so then I ended up at the 3-day hearings, and that was in Delphi. So, and then I was just, I mean, my experience in Delphi, the people there, they were so great. Meeting guys, meeting new people, you know, people I'd been friends with.
It's because you sat next to me every day for that.
That was it. That was the best.
The days I sat next to Turbo, oh God.
Pardon?
I got no notes. I got no notes on the days I sat next to Turbo.
Don't you
No,
dare ask Turbo.
quiet.
Don't you dare ask Turbo. What did they say? Because you will get. And then flip pages.
Yeah, like don't talk to me.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I didn't make a homemade
She's good.
Eustachian tube funnel thing.
I told her the first day that I sat next to her, I think it was the morning session, and I came out and I was like, don't ever fucking sit next to me again, because I can't hear a damn thing. It's so hard to hear, and you just hear her. She's got a pen, but it sounds like she's writing with a Sharpie.
She writes so hard. Yeah, I would say between Turbo and I sitting next to each other for the 3-day hearings, because we pick up on different things. You know, I think we both take excellent notes. You take verbatim notes, I think, better than I do, right? But I mean, I think we take very good notes, and when we put them together, like the series that we did on the 3-day hearings, which I think was like 17 hours long or something,
right?
Which I watched before I knew you guys.
Well,
and you hated us.
All of the Dr. Wallace
but I mean,
stuff,
when those transcripts came out, we were on anyone could put the 17 hours that we put out next to those transcripts, and I would dare that they would find very few discrepancies in what we reported versus what was put out. I would say I did not take as good of notes during the trial, and I think it was because, just because of the weight of it all, the length of the time. 2 days I had an eye infection.
It was.
And then there was times I sat next to the family and it felt a little. I felt icky.
I felt that way so many days. Many days.
Graphic details, especially when I'm sitting next to someone who was, like, out of respect, I just was like, you know what, I'm going to put my notebook down and I'm just going to listen.
Yep.
It's funny when I'm going back through my notes now because, well, I knew at the time, like I was falling asleep while I was writing sometimes, like on certain days where it was just, been up all night, there all day, like just like literally 2 hours sleep every day catches up to you. And my pen it'll just go off. Like just nothing in my notepad. Like I know where I've fallen asleep because but I know because like my writing is just, it's bad.
At least you didn't drop your pen into at least you didn't have a family member of, talk about embarrassing. At least you didn't have a family member of one of the victims come up to you at the break and say, I thought you were going to fall out into the aisle at one point. Because there was one morning, I can't remember what it was. It was one of the technical things that just was like seemed redundant, and a lot of us in court were very of it. And I felt bad because I was sitting on the end, and you're right in Goal's eye line there, and thank goodness she never directed that words about that to me, but I did catch myself with and I'm like.
Oh yeah.
Only a few times, though.
I went back through my notes recently, and there are very simple words that I misspelled multiple times within like one page that I was like, what were you? This is a testament to how sleep deprived you were.
Oh yeah.
Think of churches, the word churches without H's in it. And I thought that was accurate.
Yeah,
it is what it is. I don't know.
Well, it was almost like your brain was drunk because you were so sleep deprived. We were all there at one point.
I walked out of that courtroom one day. Look, the light was coming through the big stained glass dome in the top, and I thought I was tripping on acid. I really did.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
There's Jinx. Hey, Jinx. I don't know when you popped in, but thank you for
Jinxie
being
here?
Yeah, I had fun
Jinx.
with you last night.
She's been listening.
But no, I agree. And I think Turbo was great at because we did form a little bit of a. I don't think it was ever planned, but it happened very naturally. That immediately upon, even when I got to the jury selection in Fort Wayne, which feels like a million years ago. I was there. Murder Sheet was there, and then when so once trial started, we did form a little bit of a tribe in a way. I don't think any of us ever planned on doing that, but there did become this little collective of us that, not in a snobby or mean girl way, but we all kind of looked out for each other and had each other's back, and I think it's because we kind of all realized that we all were in there for the same purpose, same intentions. And that was Susan Hendrick.
I knew you guys thought the same as me, so I was like, "Yep."
Well, and it wasn't even about us, though. It was about our reasoning for wanting to be there
to support the families in Libby and Abby, and this, for me, it was the state. I wasn't there for defense, that's for sure. But
I went there. I wanted my questions answered, and I wanted to see good court. And no matter what anybody says, I didn't see good court, and my questions were answered, as simple as they were. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's odinous.
Yeah, but as far as I feel like I was there first and foremost because I wanted to support the victims. I wanted to support the families, and after I spent 9 days there in May, and then I went in July. The Delphi that I saw is not the Delphi I'd heard and seen portrayed, and there's some incredible people in that town. There is some incredible community there, and not just the families of the victims, but I wanted to be there to support them, but I also wanted to be there to hear the facts of the case, and I was open. I never publicly said that Richard Allen was guilty one way or another, and because I'm willing to change my mind if new facts come about, but I wanted to sit in that courtroom and I wanted to hear firsthand what the evidence and the facts were so that I could make up my mind. And I think that we all were kind of that way, but between like Susan Hendrick's Murder Sheet, Tom Webster,
Lauren and
Teddy,
Lauren and her team.
Throughout, and then about a week in the trial.
Well, when we met,
True crime, we all really formed this bond that still today exists. We talk almost every day, and it's
about random shit.
It's usually not about Delphi, but and even people with opposing views, like I still spoke to and had very, very cordial relationships with the whole time. That wasn't the case with everyone in line. I was not going to let shenanigans by people in line take the focus of the girls away, and so I refused to engage in any of that because
the shenanigans didn't start for a long time, though.
No, they started day one. And there was an automatic feeling by some people that that you were at a social event, or that you were like you were at a Taylor Swift concert, and not the double homicide murder trial of 2 children. And I felt like that was very important to keep in mind the whole time. And
it felt that way to me. It felt that way to me the very first day that I was there. I was there with Jinx, because Jinx thankfully showed me the ropes of, just where to park, because I had no idea. Like, she was the person that I reached out to, and she was like, yeah, I'll bring you around. She didn't even think, like, when we finally got to the point that we were going to go, she was like, it's 11:30. Like I went to sleep at 7 o'clock at night. I was like, I'm gonna get up at 11 just to be safe. But I passed out. Thank God I woke up at 7:30 and she had texted me. She sent me a picture of somebody and she's like, "Oh my God, people are already up there in line." Like, I'm like, I just drove 10 hours. I'm getting into that fucking courtroom. There's no way. So get your shit together. I'm coming to pick you up. We're gonna go to court. And we
And then what happened, Teddy?
well,
tell your SK story.
Well, no. Hold on. I'll tell the SK story. It's what I'm famous for. But after all that first day that I was there, when they did all the stuff for the ABC Hulu thing, it was so weird. Like I knew that they were going to have news crews there and stuff, but we were there all night. Like I met Turbo. Aspen was hanging out. I didn't really meet Aspen, but I knew who he was. I was like, oh, there's Aspen. Like I knew who all these people were. It was great because nobody knew who I was. That's how I like it. But we're just sitting there talking with people in line for hours. And then a half an hour before everything started, all the news people started coming up. And they're like, oh, hey, where did you come from? Where'd you go? How long you been waiting in line? And I'm like, fuck off. Like, this is not, no. So every piece of footage that you see, it's me and Jinx like turned around because like, no, I feel weird. Nobody, what am I going to say?
I tried
I drove out here.
I tried to avoid the camera that I saw.
Yeah, it was weird that first day, but then after that, there was nothing. And then once the defense, I think it was the second week that I was there.
You weren't looking close enough.
Well, I was trying really hard not to. I was trying to pay attention to only the things that I had to focus on. But I think it was the second week that I was there. It was Wednesday at 3:56 p.m. that the state rested and the defense got up. And that first day was fine. The second day was fine.
On Thursday, right?
No, it was a Wednesday. It was Wednesday at 3:56 because I remember I specifically, as soon as you said, oh, the state rests, I was like, oh, shit. I looked up at the clock.
Yeah, no one expected it.
Yeah, so the next couple of days, the defense started presenting their case, and I started seeing some new people show up in the line. And normally, it was the same people. We all knew the people that were going in the line. So I'm like, okay.
Yes.
Are they going to be?
There was a period the line was much more copacetic.
Yeah, and like even before then, there were people that would come in. Like there were old women that would come in at like 3 a.m. They were standing there in shorts, and it was a really cold night. And they'd go, "Is this the line?" I'm like, "Do you see people in sleeping bags? Yeah, this is the line." I'm not sure if you're going to get in because the 24, 25 people that are out here are the people that have been out here for the last 5 hours. So I'm sorry if you came from like 2 hours away, but
right.
I don't want you to wait for this long. And they would just sit there and talk to me about what happened the day before. And it was always the days that something big like autopsy day or crime scene day. And you'd see all these people that would come out the next day. And I'm like, this is so fucking gross. I can't do it. Like,
Right.
I want to know, but it's so gross. And that's how it was. I can't imagine you guys that were there. Like, I left that Saturday, the second week, and then you guys were there for the rest of the defense and then the verdict. And I had to go back to normal life. Like, all the stuff that I had seen on the news, I'm like, oh.
I tried to get you to come back for the verdict, but
listen, I wish people got to work.
I will say it'd be well. I mean, yeah, that's important. We all took time out of our work, and our lives to be there.
If I could have,
Fred, I wanted to be, I wanted to do that to support the families and the victims.
Yeah.
And I will say, have even The situation in Fort Wayne for jury selection was so much more interesting because there was, I remember I was standing next to, I think I was standing next to Murder Sheet and Andrea Burkhart in between line, and I'd never met. I didn't know who Andrea Burkhart was. I'd never met her. I'd met Murder Sheet before.
Either.
And you and I met her, and I met several other people, and everything was very like calm and pretty uneventful as far as like the line situation for that, but a very interesting process to be at. And then I remember we left Fort Wayne because it got out early. So we left Fort Wayne at like 3:00 or something, and it's a 2-hour drive to Delphi, I think, something like that. And got to my Airbnb. I'd been up since 3 a.m. that morning. Was still wearing my court clothing from the last day of jury selection, and I think it was like 7:00. Someone sent us a message. I was sharing an Airbnb with Tom Webster and with Hannah Shakespeare that first couple of days, and someone sent us a message that that someone was in line already, and I was like, I haven't even taken my shoes off from 3 a.m. the night before to go to, and that's what started that whole process for me. And it became a thing, and I actually even contacted some of the family members that, because, someone had made a post on Facebook, I believe it was one of the family members, about people being in line already, and how like this, like what type of environment is this going to be like? And so, I was like, if I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of this environment, but if I'm going to be in the courtroom, I think I'm going to have to be, and however I can best handle that, I will, but I want you to know that I'm like not out there for some party, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think that, that divisiveness though started like day one. There was an altercation the first day between people that apparently didn't like each other, that someone thought someone cut something. And I mean, so there was animosity from the get-go that only intensified.
Yeah.
And then once it got to the point where people had line sitters and were putting chairs out before court even ended.
Right.
Because we were already at the point where we were getting no sleep, no food.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to focus on us too much.
No.
Not because
We suffered.
We all chose to be there, but that is when it really picked up. And then we were going, with no food, no sleep. You kind of had to physically and mentally be prepared for something at any given moment, whether it be animosity in line, some crazy person out on the street, a deputy that thought someone was being out of line. There was this you felt like you were in a constant state of turmoil, and it could be traumatic at times. But again, we chose to be there, and we could have left at any time, so I'm not going to complain. But yeah, that was an interesting experience, and I'd like to think, for it being the first trial I've ever been to, that it was the exception and not the standard.
Well, the rest of them you can watch on TV. So
everybody else that has gone to them has assured me that it was definitely the exception.
Yeah. And there are some positives that came from it. I mean, because I didn't know Lauren from Hidden True Crime before we went to this, and I count her as a very, very good friend now, and some friends of hers that were with her, I count as very close friends that
very close.
Because people misinterpret people's actions and their intentions all the time, and I mean, I'll say I've actually lost close friends over this experience, and you know what, everything happens for a reason, but and that it is what it is, but it's definitely a case that brings out the highest level of emotion that I've ever seen in people. And I agree with something that Teddy said earlier about I've never experienced something in my life that affected me in the way that attending that trial and spending. I was in Indiana at that time for 42 days straight, 42 or 43 days straight. And it was a life-changing experience. And something Jerry Holman said in his interview with Hidden True Crime, I had not thought of prior, but it's something that has resonated with me ever since. And that is that ever since I've become highly invested in this case, I'm a better person than I was before. And I care about people more than I ever have in my life. And that's thanks to Libby and Abby. It's thanks to the importance that I've put on how much I care about their families and them and the bravery they showed. And I treat every aspect of my life now in a place. I'm a better human being because of Libby and Abby.
Yes.
They had a massive impact.
It's just sad that it had to be their demise that led to that. But at the end of the day, between them and their families, like I mean, we've met their families. We've had interactions with them, and they're normal people, no matter what.
As our Richard Allen family.
As our Richard Allen's family. And you know what? His family's not to blame for any of this. His actions do not reflect on any of his family. The fact remains that what you see on the internet and what you hear people talk about and blow out of proportion is what you expect on the internet. You look at anything else, whether it's a murder case or whatever you want to think of, until you go there and you experience it, even if, you're not coming from the opposite side of the country.
Or another country.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but
I feel like I
think everyone knows.
You shouldn't. You know what? Listen, me and Turbo were in a race to get to Indiana like 2 days before this 1 hour long sentencing hearing happened, while Aspen was already there because he's always there. He's there,
Aspen lives in Delphi.
He does. I'm telling you, I want Aspen to just buy a giant mansion there so we can all just use it as an Airbnb.
Well, if you listen to some people, when you own half of the county.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Now we can't be blamed for anything that we say because you own half the county. Come on.
I'm trying to acquire the other half and become police chief this week.
You have an opening. Let's get it going. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, look.
I'm going to put the cop back in corruption.
I've seen it written in text, but I haven't heard it. And I'm all about it. But anyways, yeah, it's just stupid. I have a hard time talking about it, even through text, because everything pisses me off now. After seeing what I've seen, after hearing what I've heard, after meeting these people that you hear on Nancy Grace and you hear on Court TV and you hear all this stuff, it's all bullshit. Use logic, use reason. Stop. Like, I get that people have questions, and this is a case to have questions about. But
yeah,
the spin.
No, go ahead.
The sensationalistic spin is what gets the big audiences.
I do, and I believe it absolutely. And there was something that I noticed as far as, I mean, I know that everyone was working under under the circumstances that we were given as far as the decorum was
Yes, we were.
And that can be argued forever as far as, I mean, I personally thought it was, a bit of a liability on the county's part to have that many people night after night sleeping on the, and spending that much time on government property when, I mean, if something had happened, There's liability issues there all around. But
I met some of my favorite people on government property. That sounds very sexy.
But I will say, there are times that I have flashbacks to that. I sent you guys that the weather forecast to the night was snowing in Delphi. It was like 1 degree, and I was like, "Don't you wish we were on the ramp together now?" But
yeah, 1 degree sounds pretty good right now.
But the decorum was set as it was, and and everyone had to abide by it in their own way. And even the media that would we all saw them during the breaks run down there, and they would put out their pool notes, and there were times that whoever had taken them had accidentally got a word wrong or whatever, and then all of the networks were reporting something that was wrong.
We all get it wrong.
Can I just talk about my dedication to the tribe, bringing down the 6-man Chuckle Hut, Ice Hut that I brought down for sentencing, which we didn't have to put up because
Chuckle Hut LLC.
Everyone
was in their vehicles for the line, which started 2 days before. But
right, why don't we start? We should have done the vehicle thing. From day one. I don't know why we didn't.
I felt really bad though looking at the ramp. Like the ramp was a monument that we couldn't touch. I felt really weird. I felt very weird not going up on the ramp, just sitting in my car like an asshole.
I mean, the time I did a video, right? But I was like, thank goodness for that Shell station and that sweet little man that would work overnights there. That would
the incense.
We would just come in and use the bathroom, and I would just stand there and browse at the same 10 things over and over again, and because I was just to warm up sometimes. But I think that the three of us did a good job of looking out for everyone. And because you go home, Teddy and I, especially during the afternoon, Turbo needs her sleep. But Teddy and I, we manned that. We manned those seats.
Look,
we tag teamed that really well. You did too, Turbo. I'm kidding.
Oh,
look,
throwing me under the bus.
If you were there all the days and we knew you were there, it was like, look,
we looked out.
You're getting in. Right. It didn't matter who you were. There were a lot of people when I first got there that I looked at. Yeah, even the first couple of days of trial, some people brought, 3 or 4 people with them. And I was like, yikes. It took me a couple of days, and then you start to see what people are about. And I went, okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, you couldn't have one person put a chair out and then have 5 people show up thinking they were getting in.
Oh, well, that happened. The first day, that happened.
Aspen, did you get a 10-pound bag of potatoes from the couple that was driving around with the truck, and they had a skid of bags of potatoes at sentencing hearing?
No, I did not.
You've missed out. I thought Turbo was going to get mugged.
That.
But it was amazing. I mean, we had the family members of Libby and Abby sometimes bringing food at 2 a.m. to people. And they said, we don't care who you're here. We don't care who you support. We don't care what you're human beings. You don't need to be cold. We had people baking cookies for people. I'm nobody. And people were volunteering to line sit for me just so I could get some sleep. And really it was a godsend because we all know, even helping each other out, there were times where it's Teddy be like, I'm just going to go get 3 hours of sleep, and then and then you'd be gone for 5, but,
yeah.
But, so it was nice to have that little bit of a community there and see how people would do things out of the kindness of their hearts too, because Red and Ted, were amazing.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
They were.
Melissa, who came from, she drove 3 hours and she wanted nothing in return. And
that far?
3 or 4 hours actually. And
what about the cop ladies?
So
you didn't get in sentencing.
there was so many positive things about that experience, but at the end of the day, we all chose to be there. So, inside the courtroom, and I don't want to take up, I know we're already at like how long, but I don't want to take up.
People want to hear this,
but
it's been forever. They want to hear it.
So like when you guys went to the trial, I just want like some quick answers. What were your last, like, now that you've had time to look back at it, like what were your impressions of each one of the attorneys? You start with the prosecution.
Go ahead, Teddy.
Nope.
Let's start with Luttrell.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yep.
Teddy, do the handcuffing thing that the juror was talking about.
He just sit there with his, come on. I did, as she was saying it, I was going. You were looking down at your notes.
Teddy and we talked about it with Susan.
You go. I'm gonna take a small break. You go, and then I'll bring my perspective.
Okay. Well, they were a well-oiled machine. I've said it, and I mean, I don't want to repeat myself. People have already heard me say this, but
I'm not here.
Pardon?
Not here.
You couldn't phase them. They were bang on in court every time that I saw them.
How about what about stood out about Diener?
Pardon?
What stood out about Diener? Just some brief thoughts on like what stood out about Diener.
Diener was all three of them were. I don't want to call them a dream team, but they kind of were. Like they were. There wasn't a weak link. They all complemented each other. Nick was very commanding and matter of fact with his style, and he did have a good read.
He owned the courtroom.
Yeah, very, very well prepared. Luttrell, like I said, I expected him to handle the technical witnesses, and he did that. We got to see him with Cicero on day 3 on August 1st of the 3-day hearings. That was really the first time that we were able to hear Luttrell, and that was great. And then he did take a lot of the technical, more complex testimony, and
in the phone, he did some of the more technical things, right?
Yeah, and I mean Stacey Diener was excellent. She had, like Teddy has said, I'll take his word. She has such grace, in her presentation of everything. She's just very well prepared, and
she commands the room.
Yep. I would say Nick and her have a more commanding style, and Luttrell is more has finesse. Like his he would come up more aggressively when required, but it wasn't the same type of directness, I guess,
right,
that I thought that the other two did.
I felt like Diener and Nick had the most commanding presence in the courtroom, and I think that they both had the ability to do it in different ways. Whereas they were both powerhouses, but they never lost their humanistic approach to things.
Yeah,
and that came through, and it came across naturally.
Yes, not contrived at all.
Nick, that was something I didn't know what to expect as far as because I know people said this was Nick's first murder trial, blah blah blah, but he came in prepared. He was intelligent. He was confident. He was he was prepared. I could find flaws in both sides, in both the cases that both sides presented. Absolutely. There were things that I could point out. And if they wanted my opinion, I'd give it to them. But But as far as like their stylistic approach in the courtroom, I thought there was a distinct difference with with Diener and Nick especially, than I saw come from the defense. And I don't mean that negatively about the defense, but what did you think about the defense, Turbo? And then I'll let Teddy go.
Well, I never had a problem with Rosie. And I thought that I found Baldwin to be very phony. I know you talk about his folksy whatever, but his theatrical style to me come across very artificial. But I mean, I'd seen him ever since, Fort Wayne in March, and then May, and then the 3-day hearings, and then at trial.
Right.
And he wasn't on his game. Certainly the first couple days, he was stumbling over with everything. Now he did pick it up, but it's almost like he had.
Forgot we differed.
Pardon?
I forgot that we differed on our opinions on this.
We all differ on our opinions on
the thing is
different attorneys.
Every action that he does is like planned. It comes across planned to me. A lot of it. And not to mention how much he had his hands all over Alan all the time, and it just come across to me the wrong way. Now, his factual, I mean, I can't think of, I mean, he wasn't my favorite. Rosie, yes, he had that arrogance, I guess you could call it, but I found him to be very prepared and very, I thought he was good. I thought Rosie was good, and maybe I've just been around so many men that have that arrogance. I've always worked in a field with men, filled with men with that arrogance, so it didn't really affect me. But at the heart of it all, he knew what he was talking about. But with Baldwin, he tripped up so much. I just found it. I thought OJ was good.
You tripped up so much.
Teddy and I don't disagree on OJ.
We do disagree.
We disagree on OJ, but
yikes!
I'm sorry, OJ's good. She. If I think back on her crosses and her
terrible
with her witnesses at the 3-day hearings and at trial, her stuff stands out most to me. Now I've lost both of you guys.
No, I'm back.
That was
terrible.
I'm very interested in this because I think
I disagree. It's a conspiracy.
I think it's very interesting because if you're a jury, I think that the hearing, the 3 people that are sitting in the same room that are having such different perspectives, I think is representative of what a jury can see sometimes.
Right. Yeah. But here's the thing. I don't care about their styles. At the end of the day, obviously Rosie screwed up right off the get-go at jury selection. Because
they all did.
Everything as soon as we heard that comment he made about dumbing things down, I mean, it was just like, oh, that's bad. That's really bad. And there were some chauvinistic kind of like he did on his cross with Melissa Oberg. He had some things that didn't sit well with me.
He's the one that made Melissa Oberg's testimony go for 8 hours. It should not have gone that long. Ugh.
I will say that I think that the defense, I think that all 3 of them are incredibly competent, well-prepared attorneys. I thought that there were certain things that each one of them did really well. And like I said, I can find things that
it's your turn.
I can find things that I disagreed with on both, but that's going to be any case. But I do think the style of an attorney does matter to a jury. Because I think that at the end of the day, I think people the people want to find something that they can connect to. And I've said since day one that before I went to either any of the hearings or anything like that, my impression of the attorneys, especially on the defense side, were that Baldwin was going to be this more aloof type, and that Brad Rosie was going to be very centered and very charismatic and everything. And I was immediately impressed with how charismatic and charming I thought Andrew Baldwin was.
Yeah, right at the 3-day hearings, you said that.
And I immediately I saw the appeal a jury could have in Andrew Baldwin's approach. I said if I were to hire one of the 3 attorneys, and this is nothing against OJ or Rosie, I probably would hire Baldwin. I thought I'm giving you my opinion. I thought that Rosie,
wrong.
I thought Rosie was very prepared. I thought he was very.
Who was?
Yeah, Rosie was the most prepared out of the 3.
Oh yeah.
I thought Rosie did a very good job.
Yeah.
I think his best and strongest was with Walla, especially in the 3-day hearing. There were things about it. Like I said, all of the attorneys' approach and style that I didn't like and that I did like. OJ to me was the wild card because I didn't know as much about her, and I felt like she came across very differently in court than I saw her come across outside of court. And I was curious as to how that would play to a jury. But I never doubted her intelligence or her capabilities or her worth. I mean, there were some stylistic things about her approach that I personally would have done that I personally didn't connect with. But as a human being and and I think that she is highly competent. So I don't really have a negative thing to say about the attorneys on either side. I do. Well, let's keep it nice, but yes. What are your thoughts?
Let's go, Teddy. Spill it.
What are my thoughts? So, I was pissed. I was so pissed because, again, as all these people like to say, how we, like the 3 of us, we went into this you 2 knew each other and I knew of you 2, but I didn't know what was going on. I was going there by myself. I don't know. I really wanted to see good court. I did not want this to be this guy got an unfair trial. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what evidence was going to be presented. And I'll give you the short and narrow of it. I was pissed when I knew the defense attorneys had the Odinist theory laid out for 2 years, whatever it was that they had. I thought it was bullshit that a month started, they weren't going to be able to present it. I didn't know anything. And I was letting any possibility go its own way. So I said, you know what? If they have something, let them show it. And the very first day that I attended trial, I think it was a godsend that I couldn't see the photos that were on the screen. And I really wanted to, because I wanted to see where these girls were. I didn't want to see them. I just wanted to see where they were. And that first day where we were sitting, I couldn't see a goddamn thing. Nothing. All I could see was Jason Page pointing the stick at the photos, and he's like, if you look at the nuance in the topography, and I'm like, fuck, I need to see it. And I couldn't see a damn thing. Susan Hendricks is sitting there taking notes, and she could see like a fourth of the screen. And I'm like, I know no one here. This is crazy. And I'm really tired. And Jinx is sitting next to me with her cane like hung up on the seat in front of her. And I'm out of my mind. And all of a sudden, we're sitting in these chairs from 1901. And I go to I was like, oh my God, I can actually like kick my feet out. And I kicked my foot out and I kicked her cane, and her cane like jumped up on the seat and made a really loud noise. I'm like, I put my head down. It was so bad. But one of the first things that I noticed was Jason Page specifically as the guy that was taking pictures of that crime scene. And he was going through talking about how he took like, I don't know, hundreds of pictures of that crime scene. And he was explaining how he went around in a clockwise fashion. And every single picture that I could not see that he was explaining, this is the rope that we used to show. We used it as a landmark. And at first he said a landmark. And I'm like, what are you talking about? A landmark? He goes, this is the area of the crime scene that I would tell people, we've searched this area. You can walk here. It's safe. And he goes, here's the yellow rope. Oh, here's exhibit 34. Here's the yellow rope. And I went, you motherfuckers. You fucking assholes. This yellow rope. That was the very first thing that I thought. And I was like, this lying piece of shit.
Frank's memo?
Footnote? I don't know. Like, I hate going into anything about this case controversially, but it's like, dude, it's one of the very first things that I heard. And I'm like, as defense attorneys, if you think about it, not only do you have the photos, you can talk about all the discovery dumps that you want. You guys supposedly have 100 years of experience between the two of you or the three of you, whatever it is. Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. Your yellow rope theory, right there. I was pissed the very first day.
Well,
so I think that's still including Hennessy in that 100-year experience.
Look, it doesn't matter to me. Get fucked. I don't care. Right off the bat. I want to know what actually happened. And as soon as I heard the matter-of-factly statement of, okay, here's exhibit 30 through 45. Here's the yellow rope. And I'm like, you fucking pricks. So I knew then. No. I felt like I didn't know what happened. Again, because people think I went into this with some bias. I didn't go into it with any bias. I didn't care what anyone thought. I didn't know the two of you.
I was just afraid you were a serial killer or something.
I was. And you know what? I'll have to make a video, and I'll have to have people follow me on YouTube to like explain that whole thing, because fuck off. But no, seriously, it pissed me off the very first day that I was there. I could not see anything that was on that screen. The only thing that I could do was listen to what was being said and what I knew. And it really pissed me off, because from that very moment, I knew that most of what they were going to say was going to be bullshit. Right. Because that yellow rope was such a huge thing.
Well, at least they realized that they couldn't figure the one TV out, so we knew they weren't going to be able to figure out two TVs, one pointing towards the jury and one pointing towards the cow.
Yeah, but you didn't need that. It was what they said. Again, The Franks memo, I think the defense is brilliant for what they did because of the fact
Was it effective?
I was at work in the middle of a job that I could not stop, and I said, "You're going to have to give me like 10 minutes." When the Franks memo came out, and I was sitting there and I was going,
You got to be kidding me.
I swear to God. I was like,
Oh my God.
Seriously. I mean, everybody was. It was
Yeah.
the first
Well,
piece of
people talked about it
information
for a
that
year.
you'd gotten.
Well,
Fuck you, dude.
I honestly thought I thought
No.
I read the first 2 pages and I thought Max wrote this. Like they had this.
I didn't even know who Max was. I didn't know
now
Max
I
until we
know.
were going to the bathroom at the same time, and then I knew who Max was.
Baldwin.
It was fucking Rick and Morty without Rick.
So what I'm realizing is that we're at the 2 hour and 11 mark, and I can't be up all night, unfortunately.
Shut up, dude.
I know, but I have like another 2 hours worth of stuff to talk to you guys about. So I mean, would you both be willing to like come back and do this again with me?
No, let's do it now.
We don't have to finish right this second, but I'm just letting you know that I only have probably like 15 more minutes in me, and then I mean we're at 2 hours and 11 minutes, and like I said, I've got something I have to do in the morning. That is.
Oh, I thought you were going to say tonight.
No, in the morning, and so
it's all right.
But and I don't want to disappoint people in chat, but if you'd be willing to come back and do this another time.
I don't like you, dude.
Can we just look at the poor Teddy? Teddy, can you just finish? I just want the full analysis of the attorneys. I want you to spit it out. You got off on a tangent there.
Because we have a lot. Because we do have a lot more to come.
I hope that nobody hates me for this, but this is how it's going to go. So, the very first person that I heard was Slick Nick. And I called Slick Nick way before it was cool. And I understood why he was Slick Nick, because he's got the case airtight. It's how it is, okay? The first attorney that came up and cross was Baldwin, and Baldwin was fucking terrible. Terrible.
I didn't see it that way.
Well, that's fine, but this is my turn to talk. Baldwin, the first witness that he crossed was Darren Giancola. And the very first thing that he talked about, he was trying to tell him, like, hey, do you remember this part of the bridge? So it's the Delphi murders case. It has to do with a bridge. And he's sitting there and he goes, do you know the south side of the bridge? No, I don't. Okay, do you know, like, if you're looking in a northeastern direction? And I'm like, dude, you're a fucking defense attorney. This is the first witness that I'm here for talking about. And he goes, do you know if you're looking and you see the twig that's pointed out? I'm like, what are you doing? Tell him the side that you saw the leaves, the distressing in the leaves. And right there, I knew. I'm like, what is going on? So he stopped at that point, and I was pissed. Like, I couldn't see the pictures. I was aggravated. I just stayed up all night, and I'm looking at Jason Page pointing a fucking big stick at a screen that I can't see. I was mad. So, go ahead.
Well, he got the bridges mixed up. He got the girls mixed up. I mean, he didn't have a good start. He didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. It wasn't a good start.
No, it wasn't. And it really pissed me off.
So I can see why your first impression would be.
He did the whole thing with Darren Giancola, and I was really aggravated to the point where I didn't get any sleep, and I went on a live that night because I was getting really aggravated with all the shit that was being said about what happened at trial that day. And I was like, no, that's not what happened, but cool. So that was the first day. I didn't end up getting into court the afternoon session because I still didn't know what was going on. And I thought, well, there's a bunch of people lined up, so I'm not even going to try. And then the second day happened, and I was there for both sessions, and I heard OJ and Rosie talk.
Okay, so what'd you
And
think about them?
OJ, the thing that really pissed me off about her is I couldn't stand her voice, number one, which doesn't really matter. It does not matter.
No.
There are a lot of people that does not like people's voices. That's fine. What I didn't like about her is she would get up to question a witness that you knew this defense team had given her specific cross. And she would get up and she would sound so smart. Like what she was about to ask this witness was going to blow the whole case open and turn the jury around. And every time she would ask a question, the witness would give her a very simple answer and it would shut her down. Say, like with the knowledge seed database stuff, I think she was talking to Brian Bunner, I think it was. And she said, Mr. Bunner, on August 28th of 2017, your report didn't include any of the knowledge seed database, did it? And he goes, it did. And she goes, well, you didn't actually report to your superiors that it had any knowledge seed database information. He goes, no, it didn't. She goes, why is that? And she made it seem like it was going to be this big conspiracy. And he goes, well, no one in the intelligence community at that time knew about the knowledge seed database. And she just like sat there. And so when everybody talks about Jennifer Oju, I get confused as why they think she's so good. Because, like, seriously, every time I heard her talk.
OJ.
So the only thing that I can compare it to, ladies and gentlemen, is you're an astronomer and you take an ultra deep field image of the sky, and there are multiple planets out there. They're there. You might find out about them. You might find out about them 20 years later. They're there. But unless you know they're there, you can't report on them. And that was like the most PG thing that she did. There were moments where the judge was talking to her and she was sifting through paperwork. And there would be a big long pause. This is where I'd kind of zone out because I was tired. Go ahead, Aspen.
I would say that was the one. That was the one probably thing that I found distracting in some of Diener's questioning as well as
you don't talk about Dina like that.
Oh, I know. Trust me. But there were. Yeah. I'm someone that because I have ADHD and I'm OCD. Turbo can tell you about the chair situation that I had that whole trial that I think caused me some issues. The fact that the chairs on the defense side, they didn't have enough chairs. They were mismatched chairs. That bothered me, and I couldn't get over it. So I don't remember the first few days of the trial.
At the 3-day hearing, you were bothered by Diener taking a lot of time to get to her report.
Yes, and then during the trial, it was the chairs because the chairs didn't like you can't get the match.
Terrible.
Like that's how my brain works. But I can tell you exactly how many ceiling tiles are on that ceiling. But I did notice the pauses during that. That's the kind of stuff that distracts me. And if I'm a juror, I'm going to feel the same way.
Look, all three of those people, if I had met them outside of a legal setting, who knows? Like, I'm not going to say that they're all bad people in general. I just thought in that trial, well, I'm going to get to him because he's my top tier guy, which you guys don't agree with, which I love. I think that's great.
I like them.
No, but
there are positive things about all of them.
Right. And I'm pointing out the negatives of the other two. And like, I'm glad that I have a different opinion. I think it's because the things that stuck out to me with the other two were negative. And with Rosie, I have a lot of negatives, but he's the only one that I have actual positives for. OJ, to be honest with you, at the end of the day, she thought she was very, very smart with a lot of the questioning that she was giving, and most of the witnesses shut her down. With Baldwin, what I noticed about him, I didn't see him do a ton of cross on people, which I was surprised about. But I noticed, especially with people like Sarah Carbaugh and a lot of the people that he brought out the transcripts for, he would ask them kind of silly questions. And as soon as they came out with something that was a little controversial, he would turn to the jury and he would go, "Oh, missing interviews. Oh my God." Like he
That
looked
was
like a sad
Baldwin,
sack of
right?
shit the whole time.
Baldwin.
Yeah, Baldwin. He looked like a sad sack of shit the whole time.
Looked
I
like
would
a
get
used
stuck.
car salesman to me.
Yeah, I would get stuck in the bathroom with this guy every single day. Like as soon as we would get up there,
Shady
I
guy
dude,
comes across.
Turbo, how many times were you like, holy shit, I have to go pee? And like I would all the women that were there with me in line, I'd
Looks
hold
like
their stuff
dehydrated.
and as soon as they'd get back, I'd be like, okay, I have to go to the bathroom. Every fucking day, as soon as I would go to the bathroom, Baldwin would mosey his way up there, and I'd be in the urinal next to him, and he just looked like a sad dog. And I go, dude, you have all this proof that this guy is innocent. What's wrong with you? You're in the bathroom. You should be living your best life. You're taking a pee. I feel like it's an amazing moment because I didn't think I was going to get to do this all day. And that's how it was. With Rosie, I thought if he would have stopped being a prick, he would have been fine. Out of all the people, there were certain moments like the day that he interrogated Liggett, and Liggett surprised me too because the way that people made Liggett sound, they made him sound like he was this big like douchebag. Like, oh, like I talked to the guy outside of the whole trial thing, and he's got a very, I don't want to say it because it sounds really bad, but he's got a very non-masculine voice. He's not very intimidating. Like I talked to him just about, like he came
Nice
up to me
guy.
the one day. I don't even want to say a nice guy because it gives people the wrong impression. Like I think he's this great person, but it was just a normal conversation outside of the Delphi trial. And he came up to me and some other dude that I didn't even know at the time. And he goes, I hope you guys didn't wait outside all night just to come down here and wait all day. And I'm like, dude, I've been here for 2 weeks. Like, I'm going home tomorrow, whatever. And I was asking him because I knew who he was at that point. I'd seen him on the stand. I was like, how do you think it went? And he goes, to be honest with you, we had all talked about it. And at the end of the day, it was the judge's decision, but we knew it was going to be a lose-lose situation. But you guys all seem like you figured everything out in the line. We didn't really have to deal with any of the bullshit. So, it went as good as we thought it was going to go. And it was a small conversation, but I get a feel for how you are as a person and how not that it means anything, but I get how you are. I don't think that you're going to try to sway this whole conspiracy type of thing and make this out to be something that it's not, which I didn't think that the whole trial. But as you talk to people on a personal level, you kind of get that. It just added to all the stuff that I was feeling as I was going through this thing. And it is what it is. But Rosie, I thought out of the three of them was the most organized. I thought when he interviewed Liggett or cross-examined Liggett, he had the best questions that me coming at it from an unbiased perspective would have been able to sow reasonable doubt. He was asking questions like,
Liggett?
okay,
Really?
yeah, with Liggett, that
I thought Liggett did great on the stand.
No, I thought he did great on the sand
Confirmed.
too. Like they both amazed me at the same time because I didn't know how either of them were. And it was just the line of questioning that he was giving Liggett and the types of things. It was right after Sarah Carbaugh's statements. And he was asking, like, okay, so this woman saw him walking on the road at this specific time. Did you guys ever look, around the Hoosier Harvest store for any evidence? Or,
north, right? North of 300 North. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I remember that.
do you just assume, like, you have no proof that this person walked from where Sarah Carbaugh saw him to a vehicle in front of the CPS building? Did you guys ever do any investigation around that building? Did you ever look at any evidence that might be there? And Liggett said, not that I know of. And I go, that right there is a normal question that you would ask somebody that would make you go, yeah. How do you know that he walked down the road? There were people there at the Mears entrance.
Well, they didn't search for the girls north of 300 North.
They didn't. But
I don't
that's
remember
the thing,
that.
though.
I'll have to look at my notes on. I don't specifically remember that about Liggett.
That day, and again, because I had very strong opinions on the other two defense attorneys and the line of questioning that they asked, that was the one day that I was like, you know what? If you're going to ask anything and you're going to ask it in the way that you're doing it, that makes the most sense to me. That's what's going to drive reasonable doubt into my mind. That's what I want to see. If you're going to give this guy a good defense, this is the type of shit that I want to know. And it was only that one specific time. After that, it all went off the rails. But I go, it's the first time that I'm in court and I'm like, let's fucking go. Like, this is what
wins.
I wanted.
Like, sure, they had some wins.
It made me pissed because I knew what all the people on the internet were going to say. And I didn't want to have to come back and be like, guys, it's all a conspiracy. They're lying to you. Like, I wanted to give you some type of something to give you. But if it wasn't for Rosie, the other two had such serious pitfalls that I was like, I don't even want to hear it. And I felt bad saying that because I wanted to come out of there. Not that I have a YouTube channel or that, like, I could have just been under the radar and not given a shit. But what the hell? I had questions too. I went into it wanting to know the answers. I don't have all the answers, but what they did provide us.
They didn't have anything to work with. Because he did it. Like, I mean, they had, insurmountable obstacles there. Every damn step of the way.
Everyone did. And you know what?
No, the defense. Like, I mean, they had no alibi.
They don't.
They didn't put any character witnesses on the stick, but they had nothing.
Look at the shit that the defense is still bringing up. All the interviews that they're doing now. Look at the stuff they're bringing up. They're bringing up the minute details that they're driving into because they cannot answer the big questions. They can't.
Yeah. It's all spin and bullshit. Half the shit they've said has been wrong. And I'm too tired to go back and I think some of that stuff, they're not remembering it properly.
No, it's not that they're not remembering it properly. It's that they're lying straight to the fucking public.
Or they're lying, whatever. I give them the benefit of the doubt.
No, I don't. It's bullshit. And it's bullshit because what they're saying is affecting real people.
Well, yeah, no, I know.
No.
It
started with a yellow rope and it went from there.
It means nothing. Like, I mean, we know this.
Hey, these 5 people that we think did it that have already been cleared. But you have to look at it as how they're presenting it to the public. Because it's
matter. Like,
it doesn't. But
over.
Look at I understand that. But still, you have all these people in a court of law, yes. You know what pisses me?
A third party, that there's nothing there that even meets the standard. The case law is very clear.
Listen,
on it.
if we were
their own experts, their own wonderful witnesses of Kevin Murphy and Todd Click at the 3-day hearing, both had to testify. There's no evidence to tie any of those 6 men to Delphi, let alone the crime. Like,
babe, you're not telling me anything that I don't already know.
They have their
You're right.
chance. Like,
You're right.
Anybody believing that bullshit is, I'm sorry. Okay, Aspen's gonna come flying on. But like, listen, I'm sorry, but like, there's nothing there, or they would have presented it.
There isn't. And this is the thing.
Rules. Baldwin keeps saying there's a low standard. That's just the 401 evidence. The 403, you've got to have. You cannot confuse the jury with bullshit, smoke and mirrors. And
Elvis said he was there, but Elvis also has the education of an 8th grader, if that. So what does that mean?
Their own witnesses say.
Can you prove that Elvis was there? The same thing with all these other guys. They've all been cleared. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? If it was spelled out for you in legal writings that they were cleared, that one guy was at work, the other guy, who the hell knows where he was, but they can't prove that he was in Delphi. Does that change the crime at all? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. All these people that they tried to get in as a third party, they had no nexus. Why did they have no nexus? Because none of those law enforcement officers could give any accurate representation these people were there. Who's the person that they found out was there? The guy that said he was there. The guy that said he was wearing. Who the fuck knows what they were wearing last week, let alone 5 years ago? Richard Allen certainly does.
It's very simple.
Who's the guy that knows exactly where he parks? Richard Allen does. Who's the guy that doesn't know how he got to the trails that day? Richard Allen, supposedly. So all this other shit that the guy knows that I heard him say with his own voice. Yeah, I was wearing a fucking blue or black jacket and light blue jeans and boots and a skull cap. And yeah, I had my hood up, on an unseasonably warm day that was there at the same fucking time that these girls took this video. And all the other people, even the people that the defense called, the first defense witness was Cheyenne, whatever her name was. And what did she say? We were there at 3:30. Okay, that does nothing for the crime. Nothing. So the defense at the beginning had nobody there that could prove anything. You know what Cheyenne said? There was this guy that had a camera around his neck that we said hi to, and he didn't say hi back. And I went, he didn't say hi back. Okay, it's got to be Bridge Guy. But Bridge Guy didn't have a camera around his neck because we saw him on video.
Right.
And then you find out with the other defense witness the next day, Dave McCain.
Had a camera.
What are you guys trying to do? What are you trying to do?
So, and I don't mean to cut you off. I do need to go. So I want to wrap this up. But if you please, guys, we could do a part 2 with me some other time. I want to hear more of your opinions. I really do, because we didn't even get to the most recent stuff.
No, sorry, guys.
I won't make you wait long.
We got off on some tangents.
No, and that's fine. I love it. I love hearing different opinions, and and anyone in the chat that feels differently about anything anyone has said. Please, I've started several comments that I thought were great questions that we didn't get to, that I will address either in the next video or however.
Thanks for hanging out, everyone.
But I want to give you guys a chance if you have any final thoughts or anything, or if you just want to tell me to F off and that you won't be here.
Sleuth intuition loves men.
Never.
You with me.
Sleuth intuition loves me.
So depending on both of your schedules, maybe we can reconvene some other time soon.
Reconvene,
and I won't make you wait till 10:30 at night.
Thank you.
So and if everyone that's watching is enjoying this, I'm interested in hearing other opinions and feelings and thoughts. So anyone that was in the courtroom or anyone that, you know, was there and you know, felt like they saw things from a different point of view, I'm interested in hearing those too. So I'd be very interested to
There's probably only two.
email me, and we and I would love to I'd love to hear, you know, how, because I think it's very interesting when a group of people can sit in the same room and all have such different experiences. So it doesn't change the fact that a jury of 12 people convicted Richard Allen of this crime. Whether or not there will be an appeal and it will be successful, we don't know yet. You know, I just, you know, my focus is on, you know, justice for Libby and Abby and their families being allowed to start whatever the next chapter of their grieving looks like. So, I'm going to leave the last words to you guys. So if you have anything to say, please.
Thank you,
Love you guys.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back.
And also subscribe to Teddy's channel and Turbo's channel. They are in the description of the video. And I hope this wasn't too horrible, considering I haven't done this in like a year and a half.
Aye.
So anyway, good night, everyone. Thank you. Get all that jazz. And I'm going to play the outro if I can get to it. Okay, good night, everyone. Oh, Teddy left.
Are we still on there?
You see, Teddy left.
We're in the stream.
Oh,